What is up, everybody? You are very, very welcome along to Sunday night's late night agenda. The Reds got their first 3 points of the season in the bag yesterday, albeit it was very hard work against a stubborn and resilient Leeds side who, look, they came to play. We'll go through it. We'll pick the bones out of the game. We'll talk about Thiago. We'll talk about transfers and everything else in between. Hello to everybody in the chat. Lovely to see you all in. I hope you had a nice weekend. Of course you had a nice weekend. The Reds got the 3 points. Of course the weekend was tickety-boo. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to pick through the bones of yesterday's game, and I have been reading your comments and I've been listening to your feedback, and I'm going to do a little minute on Bobby Firmino in a second because he seems to be the one that I defend the most. I've made no secret about it being him being my favourite player, and I do want to address the situation because nobody is beyond reproach on the channel and everybody should be up for discussion. So I thought we'd start off with a little conversation around Joe Gomez yesterday. There's a lot of Reds clamouring for maybe Joel Matip to come in and replace Joe Gomez moving forward as a partner for Virgil van Dijk. I genuinely still believe Gomez is the right man to partner Van Dijk, but I can't defend the performance yesterday. I thought he looked lazy at times, disinterested. He should have helped out Trent better on the first goal. And look, Trent wasn't great either yesterday. We'll move on to talk about him in a minute. But this is a decision that Jurgen Klopp is going to have to make. And as was pointed out to me, we finished the game with the 3 centre-backs that we have, first choice centre-backs we have at the club, on the pitch, so there was no backups if anything was to happen. Moving forward, we need to address the centre-back situation. We'll touch on that in the transfer section a little bit later on in the stream, but Joe Gomez for me yesterday, he wasn't the worst of the defensive bunch, I have to say, but he wasn't great. I think the left-hand side of our defence was certainly more assured, obviously with Andy Robertson. I think he was the pick of the back four. And it did look like Leeds were targeting our right-hand side, and maybe they had looked at Trent and Gomez and thought there was a weakness there, and it certainly paid off for them on the first goal. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. Who would you rather partner Virgil van Dijk for the next game against Chelsea? Look, that trip to the bridge is going to be difficult. There's no denying that. Chelsea have their first game tomorrow. I'm going to watch that with interest and see how they get on. And look, it's not going to be an easy game. Going away to Stamford Bridge. The eyes are going to be on the Reds. The first big test of the season. Albeit yesterday was, of course, a difficult game. This was the first fixture we would have really looked at to say, right, we need to lay down a marker here. And I want to know if you think Gomez should partner Van Dijk or maybe we should go with Matip. It will be an interesting and a difficult decision for the manager. And one that I have to say I'm going to sit on the fence on because I can understand both sides of the argument. I really can. I can understand why people would want Joel Matip to come in. He's calm, he's composed, he carries the ball forward. Doesn't quite have the pace maybe of Joe Gomez, but there is a conversation to be had about it, and let's have it. Next person I wanted to chat about was Trent Alexander-Arnold. It's not unexpected that he didn't have a great performance yesterday. I mean, he had just played some international minutes with England, didn't get any pre-season games with the Reds, obviously playing catch-up as well with regards to fitness, and it wasn't unsurprising to see him not put in a 10 out of 10 performance or even an 8 out of 10 performance, even a 7 out of 10 performance yesterday. And that first goal really annoyed me because it should have been stopped. It should have been stopped for a number of reasons. Trent and Gomez both doubled up. That's what you want to see in those situations. You want to see Trent get help. Gomez came across and looked like they were afraid to commit to a tackle. Trent was turned inside out far too easy, and it's only going to lead to those calls from opposition fans, those jibes about him not being able to defend. I don't buy into that. I'm not saying he's the greatest defensive right back in the league, but he's not as bad as people are making out. So Trent, I think, is a bit of an anomaly. I think it's just because he's playing catch up with fitness, and I do expect him to up his game, particularly at the bridge. Which is a game I'm very much looking forward to. But look, the one person that I really have to have a discussion with you superstars about is Roberto Firmino. It's no secret he's my favourite player. And it was pointed out to me by a couple of people, and I'm not beyond reproach either, that I defend the guy a little bit too much. I'm not going to defend him tonight. I'm going to take it on board what you've said, and we're going to have a conversation around Roberto Firmino. He's not an out-and-out number 9. There's no denying that. We're never going to get the goals from that you see from aubameyang or a Jamie Vardy and something like that. But he is playing in the 9 position, so I can understand why people want more goals from Roberto Firmino. And there's no denying yesterday, he should have had a goal. He should have had a goal. There's no doubt about it. And I can point out instances where his build-up play was good, but I can probably listen to you guys and point out 4 or 5 instances off the top of my head where he played a lazy pass, made the wrong decision. As I said, the goal that he missed, or the opportunity he missed, should have buried it, if we're being honest about it. And it wasn't his best game, and there are clamours for Liverpool to go out there and look for an out-and-out striker. But whatever happens, I would still expect Firmino to be in the side. If it's deeper lying in midfield, so be it. But is it fair to judge him on goals and assists only? I don't know. It's difficult. And this is where I'm blinded. This is where my love of Bobby kind of blinds me on this one. And I want to know what you guys have to say on Bobby Firmino. So please do put it in the chat. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes now going through your thoughts on Roberto Firmino. How do we get the best out of Bobby? How do we get him back to maybe bagging a few more goals? Because it has been a bit too long. It has been. He hasn't been on a hot streak for a while now. And it's all great looking back at his no-look goals and the brilliant stuff that Bobby does. And he does a lot of it. I think it is fair. It is fair that people question him at this moment in time, and I want to give you guys the opportunity to have your say. Craig, Trent wasn't fully fit. Put Joe at right back, Matip at centre back, said Scotty. I think against Chelsea, with a week of training under his belt, I fully expect Trent to be there at right back. I mean, if you're talking about yesterday, yeah, there's a good shout. There's a good shout for that. Bobby's off still, said David Lassoff. Love him, but he doesn't score enough, said Video O'Brien. Johnny said Firmino's one of the greatest players in the world, no doubt. He's so underrated. See, that's usually will be my defence, mate. That Dan, is it Dan? Who was it? No, sorry, I can't see who it was. Johnny. Usually that would be my defence, Johnny, but I can't keep defending the undefendable or the indefendable or whatever the feckin' word is I'm trying to think of. Matip, Gary reckons, should be going in there as well at centre back. Bobby's good, but damn, he should be more clinical. He should score 10 to 15 goals every season, and that would massively help us, said SDB. Do you know what, mate? I think that's a very realistic amount that you've put in there. 10 to 15 goals, I don't think that's asking too much, and that should be minimum Bobby Firmino's target. I would say 15 across all competitions is realistic enough to expect of Bobby. Love Bobby, said David Carroll. John Hamilton said, what we all forget is Klopp asks his players to try stuff that most of us would consider risky, and it comes off great, and if it doesn't come off, it opens us up to a counter-attack. He does at times. I mean, you will probably notice a lot more that Robertson on the left-hand side is a little bit safer, a little bit more cautious. He doesn't go around the outside as much in possession. He does make the runs around the outside alright, but he does tend to cut back inside to take the safer option. So I get where you're coming from, John, but I do think at times our fullbacks do shield the ball to protect it, particularly if there's nothing available for them. Right, what else we got? Craig, we get Thiago, then Bobby can focus on goals, said Johnny D. Bobby scores most of his goals away from home, said Eddie Hutchinson. Now, whether they're home or away from home, to me personally, I don't really mind, as long as the goals are going in. Play Minamino, plays for Bobby, said Captain Clun. It's, again though, Minamino's not an out-and-out goal scorer, so you're replacing Bobby Firmino in that instance with somebody who is probably very similar to Roberto Firmino, somebody who isn't a natural striker, so we may still end up with the same problem down the line if that was the case, mate. Indefensible, that's what I was looking for, David. Well played, mate. Bobby has to up his game, to be fair, said Elijah John 5. Minamino was clinical. I mean, I don't understand how he's clinical. Yeah, great that he scored a couple of goals, and yes, I'm hoping that he goes on to be clinical, but I don't know, as I said, I'm willing to take this one on the chin because I think I deserve to take it on the chin because, you know, I do defend Bobby an awful lot. Raymond reckons he should be getting 20 goals in all comps. I love Bobby, but what have we got? So no comment for me, said Pat. It's so hard, Pat, for me to be on here having this conversation, mate, because he's my favourite player. I love the guy. But I've often said on the channel, and when it's pointed out to me, I have to take it on the chin. You know, I can't defend what isn't defendable. The indefensible. Thank you, mate, earlier on. Trent needs to improve, said Jurgen Meinstein Johnson. Excuse me, mate, if I got Jurgen. I got that completely wrong, but I'm known for my mispronunciation. But yeah, I get where you're coming from, but I mean, Trent's still only 21. It's important to remember that as well. I mean, he's been around for a while. He's played at the highest level. He's won loads of stuff. And yes, he's used to the big occasions, but he is still only 21 at the end of the day. There are not many fullbacks around the world with his experience, his guile, and his ability at 21 years of age. By the way, little shout out to Curtis Jones today. I'm going to touch on the mini derby later on, but Curtis Jones playing for the senior team yesterday, got his 25 minutes, and he's down supporting the under-23s at Kirby today as well. So shout out to Curtis Jones, what a lad. Looks like he's got a perfect attitude. Love the lad even more now, if anything. Right, I love Bobby, he's my favourite, but he needs competition. See, Gary, that's spot on. And I think that applies to right across the board of the front three. Salah, great yesterday. His second goal was sensational. I don't care what people think about the penalties. At the end of the day, they were given, he scored them, and that's all that matters. Anybody else out there be nervous when Bobby's taking a penalty when we shouldn't be? I mean, Steve Hoare, one of the guests we had on the channel the other day, tweeted about this one and said that he still feels nervous when he sees Bobby taking, or not Bobby, Salah taking a penalty, but we shouldn't, because he just keeps scoring them. And I'm the same. I'm always petrified when Mo Salah steps up to take a penalty, but he keeps scoring them. Curtis Jones, very good versus Leeds. He came on, had a very good impact for that 25 minutes. Now, I don't want to dwell too much on yesterday, because it's done. Job done, in the bank, 3 points, we move on. I think it opened up a lot of people's eyes to quite how good Leeds are going to be. I mean, I've been saying it all week in the build-up. This is not going to be any 4 or 5-0 game. Bielsa's a very good manager. He'll have them set up. And do you know what? I don't think they're going to be that attacking throughout the entire season, because I've seen Leeds before become compact, very difficult to break down and just nick a game by a goal or two. So it's interesting to see how they get on. But credit to them yesterday. I thought it was a very entertaining game. Thank God we came out on the other side of it with the 3 points, thanks to Mohamed Salah's penalty. But it was a good game. It was a good game. Craig's right, just try and forget about Thiago. It's not happening, is it? Said Ronald Weasley. Look, I'm going to move on to transfer talk now, because I know that's why a lot of people are in tonight. And there is a lot of stuff to talk about. I want to start off with a deal that was concluded today, or a deal that was at least agreed and is just about to get over the line. So the deal for that young Brazilian keeper that I've been telling you guys about has been completed by the club. The Reds have just about to sign. It's all agreed. It's just a matter of a medical taking place, and I believe he's on his way over for that medical. So they've agreed a fee with Brazilian side Fluminense for the young keeper that could rise to about 1.8 million. I think the initial down payment is something like 700 grand according to James Pearce, and there are add-ons that could take it up potentially to about 1.8 million. There's also reportedly a 25% sell-on clause in there. The young lad's name is Marcelo Pitaluga. I'm sure you've seen it mentioned. Really interesting on this one, because the goalkeeping coach John Achterberg seems to be the one that pushed for this one. Where's the news I have on this one? So, oh yes, one more point on Pitaluga, by the way. I did say the other day that I thought this deal would be possible and easy to do because of the no work permit issues, because I thought that he held dual citizenship, which he does, but I think I mistakenly said that he has, I thought he had an Italian passport, but it looks like he's got German dual citizenship, which again makes this type of move easier. When he's 18, then he'll be able to come settle in and play for the Reds, albeit he'll probably be the under 23s. But John Achterberg pushed hard for this one. LFC Transfer Room tweeted something earlier on crediting it to James Pearce, and it said John Achterberg has pushed hard for Pitaluga's transfer. He scouted him extensively since the under 17 World Cup in 2019, which by the way Brazil won, so well done to them. Alisson was asked to give his feedback and raved about his potential. Alisson knew all about Pitaluga as his brother Muriel plays for Fluminense. So there you go. There's a bit of a link there, but Klopp's often said that John Achterberg just doesn't sleep, basically. He's constantly looking at goalkeepers, constantly thinking about the situation. So yeah, looks like that deal is going to be over the line. Not that it's not one that excites us now, but another good talent in the bag for the future. So Salah to Barcelona. Have you seen this, ladies and gentlemen? Now, as ridiculous as these comments come from European sides and European journalists and people close to Ronald Koeman, this one is just beyond ridiculous for me. So Dutch football agent Sjaak Zwart, I believe, I hope that's how you pronounce it, has said that Ronald Koeman wants to sign Salah. In fact, he went on to say, I know Koeman wants him and I know Salah would like to go. Now let those words sink in. I know Koeman wants him, and I know Salah would like to go. Now, I have to say, Mohamed Salah to me yesterday looked like a man that was happy, looked like a man that was ready to go for the new season, and looked like a man that was ready to shove the doubt that some people place on him down their throat and make sure that he gets into the Premier League team of the season this year, because I'm sure he feels a little bit slighted by being left out of last season's one. I don't see any truth in this. I mean, let's break it down. One, he's not for sale. We can start off with that one. Secondly, Barcelona are in a shambles at the minute, and how the hell are they going to afford him? They walked away from the Lautaro Martinez deal because they haven't got the money to buy him. Now, how the hell are they going to come and get Mohamed Salah from Liverpool, a player who must be valued minimum £150 million? Barcelona are not an attractive option at the minute. Anyone that goes in there knows they're probably going to play for a manager that's not going to be there come the end of the season. We all know with the Barcelona presidential elections coming up that when the new president comes in, the first thing he wants to do, the one that is going to win the election, wants Xavi to be the manager. So Koeman's pretty much just on a 1-year contract. He's got given a 2-year deal, but it'll pretty much be 1 year and then 1 year's compensation. So why would Salah commit himself to Barcelona when he doesn't know the managerial situation long term? It just seems silly to me. I mean, Barca can't afford it. We know they can't afford it. So we can just put this one in the other pile of crap. It seems like every time one of our players has a decent game, the Real Madrid, the Barcelona links come. I mean, you can look back. There's been links to Mane, Firmino and Salah to the two Spanish clubs over the past few seasons. And sometimes you think, alright, maybe there is some truth to this, but I'm sure Barcelona would want them. Who wouldn't want Mohamed Salah? But you ain't getting them. You can't afford them. And I'm absolutely certain that he doesn't want to go. Why would he? Why would he want to go to Barcelona right now? Surely to God he can look around and think that we're a more attractive proposition. Yes, Messi's still there, but we know he wants out. I don't know. I just think it's absolute nonsense, to be honest with you. Steve Boo said, don't panic, Barca couldn't afford him. 100%, mate. Not a hope of affording him. 600 million for Salah, said Captain Clun. No way, Klopp loves Salah, Salah loves Klopp. Fake news. It is absolutely fake news of the highest order, but I have to bring it to you. And I do like a nonsense transfer rumour every now and again. Right, we want to get on to talk about Thiago, because it seems to be heating up a little bit now. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to this, but Manchester United fans have been getting a bit optimistic over the possibility of them actually going and signing Thiago. Now, the former Bayern Munich president spoke about the situation, and I'll touch on that in a sec. But before I do, ladies and gentlemen, just want to take a second to say, don't forget, if you're enjoying the stream, hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the video as well, and keep your comments coming. And don't forget all the other stuff, the Flick chat group, all that stuff. Loads of links in the description. Just check it out. I'm not going to just ram stuff down your throat all the time. Memberships are open, Flick chat groups open, super chats, super stickers, all that stuff. Anything you need to know, there's links in the description of the stream. Also, shout out to our social media accounts at Anfield Agenda on Twitter and Instagram. Right, let's get into Thiago, because that's what we all want to know about. Former Bayern president Uli Hoeneß has come out and said that Liverpool and Manchester United are attempting to basically blackmail Bayern Munich over the Thiago situation, and this is what he had to say. It's a difficult situation. A while ago, Bayern Munich agreed a new 4-year contract. Some days later, Thiago said, I'm looking for a new challenge, which is totally okay. So first part, we pretty much know. Nothing new there. From my point of view, that has no style. I think he obviously has an agreement with Liverpool or Manchester United, both of them. Now, both clubs are bluffing and no one has contacted Bayern officially. Now, that is an important line there. Nobody, because we heard the other day stories coming out that suggested Liverpool had offered 30 million euro and then been told no, the price is now 35 million euro. So no offers have gone in. There's been a couple of people that have said Liverpool have made offers, more than one journalist actually. But according to Uli Hoeneß, former president of Bayern Munich, no offers have gone in. He went on to say, from my point of view, that has no style. They're trying to blackmail us by waiting until the last week when they're going to make a cheap offer. In that case, Bayern have to ask themselves the question, do they want to go along with that, or do they tell the player that he has to stay? It's going to be a hot 3 weeks until October the 5th. Now this, in me, is obviously Bayern, in my opinion, is Bayern Munich trying to turn the tables and see if they can push Liverpool or United into making an offer. Don't forget, it's in Bayern Munich's interest to try and make both clubs think that the other one's got just on the fringe of making an offer, just ready to go. Bayern have themselves a player who's told them that he wants to leave, and as much as Uli Hoeneß spins this, you can't get away from the fact that he is available to sign a pre-contract with anybody outside Germany in January. So whatever Bayern Munich do, they could end up losing the player for free. So what do? Do they keep somebody who said he doesn't want to be there, just to spite Liverpool and potentially Manchester United over a fee? Or do we sit back and be clever about this and wait it out? And that's, I think, what we're seeing right now. Both clubs just sitting back and waiting it out and seeing who blinks first. It's frustrating, it's annoying, it's not what we want to see, but it is the situation. I don't really know what else to say on this one. If Gini Wijnaldum signs a new deal, I will be amazed. And one of the reasons I'll be amazed, by the way, is to do with the homegrown quota, which I'm going to pull up an image of in a minute to talk through. So don't miss out on that, by the way. If you're thinking of heading off or going for a pee, don't. This is a really important section that we're going to go through in a minute. And one that I'd love your feedback on as well. I don't know about Thiago is the honest answer. I don't know what the situation's gonna, or what's gonna happen in the situation. The United stuff doesn't sit well with me. I mean, I was speaking to the Connor about this yesterday, and he rightly, and I agree with him, said that he'd be absolutely fuming if Manchester United went out and got Thiago. Not just because it's United getting a good player, but it's because it's another player who openly said he wanted to come to us that we haven't pulled the trigger on. Happened with Timo Werner, happening again now with Thiago as things stand, but there is still lots of time to change. It is important, as Uli Hoeneß pointed out, to remember there are 3 weeks left in this transfer window, and we were always going to be waiting till the end. We were always going to be looking to move a few players on, and as you can see in the title of tonight's stream, it has been confirmed by James Pearce that Liverpool are still in the market for a couple of players. But the positions that James Pearce was talking about are a wide forward and a centre-back. The ones that I've been saying to you guys all along, I'd personally like us to go out there and get. Obviously Thiago as well. I'd love Thiago. I don't think any Liverpool fan wouldn't like a Champions League winner, somebody as silky as Thiago, to come in and put pressure on our midfield. But I don't know, man. I'm going to get into it in more detail, but I want to touch on the homegrown quota in a minute. I just want to go through a few of your comments because I hate ignoring you guys. I don't get what you're saying. In which sense, Simon? I mean, you're going to have to go a little bit further than that. I mean, if anything I haven't said isn't clear, please put it in and I'll be happy to go back over it. Salah's an important player. Why should he leave Liverpool? He won't, Jake. It's complete nonsense, mate. It's just media trying to get clicks and trying to get people onto their sites and just trying to drum up interest. It's complete nonsense. I don't even know if the quotes must be true. The quotes must be true from the agent. He must have said that, because if not, somebody be in a whole world of trouble. But I seriously doubt that Mohamed Salah has told anybody that he wants to go and play for Ronald Koeman at Barcelona. It just doesn't make any sense. How good is Edwards if he can get the Werner and Thiago? If he can't get the Werner and Thiago's over the line? No. One thing we have to say about Michael Edwards is Michael Edwards knows how to get deals done. I think he's proven at this point. The Werner thing may have been a bit of an anomaly, because the situation, I think if there was no pandemic right now, Timo Werner would be a Liverpool player. I'm absolutely convinced of that one. I think the club were just not willing to commit that much money at that particular moment in time. And don't forget, we still didn't know how the land lay with regards to when fans would get back inside stadiums. There was still some confusion over some television money. The Chinese deal fell through as well. I spoke to you guys about that before. Their Premier League broadcasting rights, each club's going to lose about 10 or 11 million a year. So there was still some uncertainty. And I think that's why we lost out on Werner. This feels a little bit different. I don't think this is about affordability. I think this is about squad places. I think Liverpool can absolutely afford the Thiago deal. I think if Liverpool wanted to drop €30 million, £26 million, they can do it. We can afford that. It's not an unrealistic amount. What else have we got? Bring Cristiano Ronaldo. No, mate. No one's bringing Cristiano Ronaldo. We want Daka. Ellie, I'm with you. And I think Daka I spoke about last night. Daka is actually represented by Freddie Canute, who's an ex-Spurs player. I'm sure you guys know that. And there have been links. Obviously, Jose Mourinho said he wants a forward. He needs a forward. He's been saying to his board that he wants a forward. Spurs have been linked to Patson Daka as well. Now, if they make a bid or not at the end of the window, that remains to be seen. But we know Liverpool are in the market for a wide forward, confirmed by James Pearce. Anyone that knows James Pearce would know that James usually errs on the side of caution with these things. So to say Liverpool are looking for 2 more additions for the window closes, now it could be partly funded by sales, of course, so it could be a busy 3 weeks in this transfer window for the Reds. But I wanted to pull up an image to just explain the whole ins and outs thing with regards to homegrown quotas and stuff. So let me just pull up this image for you guys now. Where did I put it? 1 second. Where did I put this image? Sorry guys, bear with me 1 second. I'm trying to figure out where the hell I put this. There it is. Is it? No, that's Connor's one. What's this one? Sorry guys, I'm just trying to find this image. Let me just pull it up. I'll pull it onto the screen for you now. 1 second. Right, here we go. There you go. There's the image. So, the homegrown quotas. Let me talk you through this just in case you're not aware of what's going on. Homegrown doesn't mean that you have to be born and raised in England. Homegrown means that a player must have been on the books of the club or affiliated with a club for at least 3 years before they turn 21 or 21, excuse me. It doesn't mean they have to be born in England, as I said earlier on. Every club can register 25 players with the Premier League. 17 non-homegrown players, or excuse me, 17 non-homegrown players at most, and Liverpool, here's Liverpool's homegrown situation right now. Currently, Liverpool's homegrown players: Jordan Henderson, Quivin Kelleher, Joe Gomez, Trent, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, James Milner, and Harry Wilson. So that's 7 players that Liverpool have that are technically homegrown. Now, if you look across to the other column, we've 18 players registered that aren't homegrown, which is one above the quota. Now, you can look at that list and think, are we only probably moving on? That brings us back to 17. But now you see, while we're talking about the Thiago situation, it's a little bit more complex than just, do we go and get Thiago? We know that Gini's most likely going to stay, so that doesn't free up a place. So somebody has to move on to free up that non-homegrown place, to make sure that we stay within that 17. Now, looking through the list there, Karius, every possibility that Karius will move on. Are we only, as I said, that would get us to the 17. There's a possibility that Shaqiri could move on, but if you're looking at that list, you can understand why the club are making sure that they have players who can be moved out. Karius is the obvious one to me that would free up a place there, along with Arioni, so that would bring us to 16, and maybe we'd be able to go out there and get Thiago. But it is something that we do have to keep an eye on, and it isn't just about the money. But I want to know what you guys think about it. And look, if you've any questions over this, please do let me know. It's something that I haven't really touched on before because I didn't have enough information at hand. But this gentleman, Ahmed, kindly posted this one up on Twitter. As you can see, his Twitter handle's in the bottom corner. Always like to give credit to people where due. The man took the time to make this, so there you go. What have we got? Grujic, yes, that's another possibility of someone to move on. Definitely. Hertha Berlin want Marco Grujic back. They've made that very clear. I'm just going to move this list away now, one sec. Hertha Berlin want him back. They've made that very clear, and they had an £18 million option to buy in the deal, the loan deal that they had with Liverpool, but they couldn't afford to trigger that clause. So yes, there are players on that list that could potentially move on, and that's what James Pearce was touching on. Any outgoings will probably trigger some incomings. Not just for financial sake, but also because of the homegrown quota of 17. How cheap should we sell Karius, said Shauna. It's looking about 6 million. That's the figures that I'm seeing, Shauna, for Karius. Daka. I get you, man. I'm with you. You don't have to argue with me over Daka. I love Patson Daka at Liverpool. But if we're looking at the wide situation, something to keep an eye on. I don't know if I've missed something around the Sarr situation, but he didn't even make the bench for Watford in their championship opener. I don't know if he's an injury. I don't know if there's some other reason why he didn't play the game. But if there isn't, you got to ask yourself, are they holding him back because they know that he's going to be sold before the window closes and they don't want to risk an injury to the guy? It's very well documented that Liverpool are interested in signing Ismaila Sarr from Watford. They seem to want about 40 million quid from him. They paid Ron somewhere between 25 and 30 million from last year. So if I was to push my bets on this one, I would think that Sarr is the most likely option for Liverpool to get a deal over the line this summer. Or this window, I should say, because look, it's not even summer anymore. We're in September. Robert Smith said, if we get no signings, I seriously think we can still retain the title. Absolutely. I mean, it won't be easy. We'll have to manage our squad very well. But yes, there could be a few. Any news on Suarez? No. Other than the deal to Juventus looks like it had fallen through yesterday, last I'd seen. No, I haven't seen anything there for Luis Suarez. What else we got? Brewster and Elliott. I don't know if he did, Harry. I don't even want to read out what you're saying in case, YouTube pull a little bit of a trick on us, because I have to be careful how many times I mention what's going on in the world. Hey Craig, how are you and the family? All good, mate. All good, thank you. Karius isn't that bad, better than Adrian. Potentially, yeah. I mean, but his time at Liverpool is finished. Adrian is the backup goalkeeper. Karius didn't get a minute's action in pre-season. He is going to move away from the club. There's just nothing to say about that other than let's find a club for him. Who's going to pay real money for Karius, though? I mean, you'd be surprised. Genuinely, you'd be surprised. I think I moved to France, Germany, something like that, for a relatively small fee of about 6 million quid. I think that's realistic. Craig, what would your opinion be on this, mate? Move Salah to striker because he can score goals, then Bobby to central attacking midfield and sign Adama. Look, there have been links to Adama Traore, and I said this before. Wolves want about £63 million for Adama Traore, but his agent George Mendes is trying to get that figure knocked down a little bit because he would like to try and move his client on. Now, there's no secret that agents moving players on means money for the agent, but in this scenario, I think a lot of clubs are just waiting to see right at the end of the window if they can get that price for Adama knocked down. I don't know if we could pony up enough cash. I mean, even knocking down 63 million, probably going to knock it down to closer to 50. I I don't know, man. I just don't know about Adama. He worries me. There's something about him that I can't quite put my finger on. I just haven't seen enough consistency from him yet. He's had one really good season in the Premier League, and even in his really good season, I'm still a little bit iffy. I mean, I wouldn't mind him, but I think there's better value to be had out there if we're looking for value and value alone. But as fans, obviously, we want the best players in the world, so would I love Kylian Mbappe out there? Of course I would, but by the way, he wants to move away from Paris Saint-Germain. He's told him he wants to leave at the end of this season. Bit of a heads up on that. I'm sure you've seen it all over the news today. Not getting Traore. I don't know, Traore? Oh, Adama, sorry. Because the other Traore could be potentially on the move as well. I think somebody put in a bid for the Lyon winger, who I think used to be at Chelsea, if my memory is correct. Mbappe will cost way too much. Only 2 or 3 clubs could afford him. Look, I'm with you, man. Kylian Mbappe, in my opinion, will end up at Real Madrid. Zidane wants to work with Mbappe. Mbappe, French. I just think that's probably where he'll end up. Sancho, like Virgil's post, said Addison. Yeah, I mean, the Jadon Sancho situation is one that we'll definitely be keeping an eye on if United can't get that deal done. And I am looking at that deal and waiting to see, because I'm hearing too lots of information. Some United fans are still rather confident on Sancho. Some have completely given up the ghost. And if he doesn't move to United this summer, then yeah, I think we will be in the conversation for Jadon Sancho next summer. And I think we should be in the conversation if he doesn't get a deal tied up to United. It is a frustrating window, folks. And I know we all want transfers to come in, and I'm as annoyed as everybody else. But it was nice to have a little distraction of football yesterday, wasn't it? Albeit not for too long. Let me know whatever you want to talk about tonight, because I've got loads of stuff I could go through here, but I'm very aware that this is, your show, as I keep saying. So any questions, please do put them in the chat. Again, just a reminder, we've got some new members of the channel. If you want to become a member, hit the join button. It's $4.99 a month. You get used to all the custom emojis and the Anfield Agenda badge beside your name. Makes it easier for me to see. Like Captain Clun here said, what about Sam Maximin? No, for me, I don't think he's there yet. Love the guy, by the way. Great fun. Love him on social media. Looks like a tidy footballer. But I don't think he's at the calibre that we need right now. I think Newcastle's probably the right club for him at this moment in time. Another season in the Premier League, maybe a move elsewhere, but I don't think it'll be to Liverpool, if I'm being honest with you. What is this? Ace in Industry said a centre-back and a striker should be the priority. Centre-back and a wide forward are the priority. I know people don't like me saying the words wide forward, but we're not going to be bringing in a number 9. We're not going to be bringing in an Aubameyang or Harry Kane, somebody that is an out-and-out goal poacher, because that's not the side of football that Jurgen Klopp plays. We're going to be bringing in somebody to play part of a 3. And I love the shout to move Salah into the centre at times, by the way. He's very capable of it. So there is sense to that as well if we do bring in another wide forward. There could be times when we rotate and Mo goes through the middle. He's done it before and he's done it quite effectively. Thiago and Firmino. I don't know what you mean by Thiago and Firmino. I mean, what? I don't know what the Firmino part is there. You've confused me. Sarah follows Liverpool on Instagram. Oh, there we go, Ben. Well in, Ben. Getting everyone's hopes up, mate. You know what I mean? Don't make me cry. Somebody got me worked up the other day in the stream telling me that Thiago had been agreed, which was nonsense. But I do like to get a little bit excited about transfers. Again, shout out to the under-23s who won the first mini derby of the season in the Premier League 2. Barry Lucas's side beat Everton 1-0 at Kirby thanks to a goal from Jay Kane. A special mention as well to Queeveen Kelleher, who put in a tremendous performance in goal to keep Everton out. So well done to Jay Kane on the goal. Well done to the Young Reds on winning the first mini derby of the season. And as I pointed out earlier on, well done to Curtis Jones, who was there supporting and cheering on the lad. So fair play, Curtis. I mean, if you didn't love the guy enough, now there's another reason. Right, some of your questions now. What have we got? What's your view of FSG's transfer strategy? Difficult one, this, because I'm trying to weigh up how much of our success has been down to Klopp and his coaching, and how much of it has been down to the transfer business that we've done, of which they've been part of. We've been extremely clever in the window. You've got to give credit to that. Whether you don't like the net spend or not, you cannot argue that the way we've attacked the windows in recent years has been good. The ones we've got done, I mean. There's no denying last summer and this summer we'd like more players. But the business we have done, there's been very few misses. Karius potentially one, maybe Shaqiri, although that could be down to injuries rather than just the wrong choice by Kloppo. So I think all in all, the transfer business has been B-. I think could do better maybe. I don't want to knock them because the business that they've done has delivered us Alisson, Van Dijk, albeit, yes, I know at the loss of Felipe Coutinho, But it seems to have... One thing I'll give them credit for is we're not selling our biggest players anymore. We're not being bullied by clubs in the window. We're holding on to our star players. But we're never going to be a club that goes out there and signs somebody on 5, 6, 700 grand a week for £150 million. It's just not within our means. The club of FSG said since they came in that we will spend within our means. And Jurgen Klopp has been very vocal and said that this club spends every single penny that it gets. But would I like them to do better? Yes, I would. As a football fan, of course I would. I want Liverpool to go out there, and this seems to be the window that I think would be worth having a roll of the dice. I think there are some bargains to be had out there. Houssem Aouar, I think, could be gotten for a reasonable fee. And there are some bargains to be had. And yes, the club don't like taking on debt. I get that. But this could be one time where taking on £100 million worth of debt could be a calculated risk worth taking. We know we've got the Nike money coming in, albeit I don't know how much that is. Estimates range from somewhere from 60 to £80 million, depending on the sales of the merchandise, obviously. And it's frustrating. And I used to think that it was more down to Jurgen Klopp wanting value and Jurgen Klopp being very picky about the players that he wants. But when the Werner thing changed my mind on that one, because hearing the Klopp was told no, that was the first sign of worry for me. I've got to be honest about it. What have we got? Shaqiri or Wilson plus 30 million for Adama, said Max Mitchell. Yeah, the thing about Wilson is it won't be alone. All the words coming out of the club is that Harry Wilson won't be alone. If Wilson's going to go, it's going to be permanent. And if we don't get the £20 million or very close to it that we want for him, then he's going to be staying at Liverpool. And we have to remember that there's a human aspect to this as well. Harry Wilson has had, I think, 3 loan moves in a row now. And he just wants to put down roots and settle down as a footballer. What is he now? 23, something like that. I think Harry Wilson, 23, something around those. 23 or 24, I think. He's a little bit older than you initially think. Players be willing to take wage cuts to play for this club? Some would, George, yes. Some would, mate. And what we do with our contracts, as you guys know, is we heavily incentivise them. So if a player comes in, you prove your worth to the club, you'll get your bonuses, and then when your next contract renewal comes around, you'll get a nice wage. I like that way of doing things, and that does play into, when we speak about FSG's transfer policy, that plays into it. Also, agents' fees, we can't just forget about them. We were the highest spenders on agents' fees, I think, over the last year. I can't remember the exact figure off the top of my head, but that again is money going out the door. Now, I hate agents getting money. It is one of the bugbears of the whole thing for me. Any other sport I'm aware of, the agents are paid by the players. So if you're going to move, you pay your agent. The fact that clubs pay agents just doesn't sit well with me. I don't like it at all. It's something that really annoys me, and they take too much money out of the sport for my liking. I'd love to see more from Minamino, said Reece Owen. He's been looking sharp in pre-season. We will, Reece. Absolutely, mate. We will. And he will turn out to be one of the bargains of the Premier League. £7.25 million. That's all he costs. £7.25 million. We need players who can unblock low-block defences. Do we, though, Gary? I mean, have we really struggled anymore against those low-block defences? I think that's the Liverpool of 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I think we used to struggle. I think our problem seems to be the defence at the minute. I think it's like yesterday we scored 4 goals at home. 4 goals at home in the opening of the Premier League. But yet we conceded 3. So for me, the issue is not about how we go about scoring, albeit we do need a backup for the front 3. It's defending. And I'm not going to lie, I don't think last season we were too great defensively either. There were periods where we looked shaky. But even if we talk about defences, we're only going to add a 4th-choice centre-back. Now, the club want Ben White. The club have been looking at Ben White. Even though he signed a new contract with Brighton, they're still going to be tracking him. He's somebody that I've always said I'd love to see at Liverpool because he looks like a Jurgen Klopp style of centre-back. Agents ruined football. Even Fergie said it. Honestly, mate, it is something that really makes me angry. The amount of money. Because we end up paying for it as well as fans. We end up having to pay more for shirts. We end up having to pay more to go to games. And these greedy, hungry fuckers are taking ridiculous amounts of money out of the sport. And sometimes holding clubs to ransom almost over transfers. I just don't like agents one bit. There are probably some brilliant agents out there that do amazing work for their clients. And, you know, we often talk about agents. And one of the worst of the whole lot is the guy who represents De Ligt. The guy, what's his name again? I always forget his name. I can see his big head in front of me, but I always forget the dude's name. I can't remember his name. It'll come to me in a second. He has taken a ridiculous amount of money out of the sport. George Mendes as well, one of the super agents, Pina Javi. It's just ridiculous amounts of money coming out of the sport, and it annoys the shit out of me, I'm not going to lie. Ben White will come next season, said Addison. I still think we should go for Connor Cody. Look, I wouldn't touch Connor Cody. He's the Wolves captain. I'm proud of the dude. In a weird way, I'm proud of Connor Cody that he went and rebuilt his career, came up at Wolves. Mina Raiola, yes. Thank you, guys. Mina Raiola was the agent I was thinking of. Even seeing him makes me angry. But if you talk to a lot of the players that he represents, they seem to speak very highly of him. They seem to say that he does look out for them and he's got the best interests at heart. But it doesn't come across that way to us fans. It comes across that he's a money-hungry beep. Yes, it is Raiola. Sometimes I forget about the delay between what I say and, the 15-20 seconds it takes to go out onto YouTube. Right, ladies and gentlemen, what have we got? There's about 20 minutes left on the stream, so whatever you want to talk about, get it into the chat and we'll get talking. Mbappe will have 1 year left on his contract at PSG. No, I think he'll have 2 years at the end of this season. I think. If my memory is correct, and I'm happy to be proven wrong, I think as things stand, at the end of this year, Kylian Mbappe has 2 years left on his deal, I think. But again, happy to be told I'm wrong. What if we signed Koulibaly? What if I grew a head of hair tomorrow? This is two things that aren't going to happen, mate. This is not going to happen. We're not going to sign Koulibaly. Sarr and Thiago is what we need. Doesn't really touch the centre-back situation, though. But yeah, Sarr, I would say, is... If I was to guess of us going out and getting a forward, I would say it's going to be Sarr. Everything points to Sarr for me. But then again, Kloppo does love to throw in a little curveball every now and again. Ibra says Mino's like a dad to him, even went to his wedding, said Jord. Jord IT, Jord ET, I'm not sorry. I like saying Jord though, I like that little nickname. Any news on Daka? I've already spoke about him in the chat, mate. So the latest on Daka is Spurs want the striker. Spurs are linked to Patson Daka. Patson Daka is represented by Canude, who used to play for Spurs. So, I don't know if Mourinho will get the player. I hope he doesn't. But he is a good player and they do want the forward. We aren't really in the market for a 9 at this moment in time. We're in the market for a wide forward. And I know we're going to keep track on Daka, but I don't think it'll be this summer from what I've read. What's the WAP dance? I've no idea what that is, mate. Matip needs a run of games to get his fitness back, said Sipko. Over 45k, well done. Thank you, mate. I'm delighted that we've gone over 45k on the channel. Next stop, 50k, and we've set ourselves a target of trying to get there by Halloween. But as always, we need your help to do so. So hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. But again, keep your comments coming because I'm in a great mood today. So I want to keep talking to you guys. Any news about Sarr? No, but I'm still yet to see any reason why Sarr wasn't available. Somebody put something into the chat earlier on that I cannot, back up because I don't know if it's true and I also don't know if it's fake. But Sarr didn't play for Watford. It wasn't even the Watford squad for the game against Middlesbrough, I think it was, on Friday night, the Championship opener. He didn't take any part in it because I made sure I had a look at it. And it seemed to have gone a little bit unnoticed in the media. I don't know if that's an indication that maybe they're holding Sarr back because they're expecting a bid and they don't want the chance of getting injured because the guy wants to move on. And I think it's likely. We know that Sadio Mane and him have a good friendship, obviously both Senegalese internationals. But, as people will point out, if we do go and get Sarr, it might be a while away, yeah. But we still have the African Cup of Nations headache where we'd have Mohamed Salah, we'd have Patson Daka, I was getting ahead of myself, Ismaila Sarr, we'd have Sadio Mane all heading off. And I don't know what the situation is with regards to Guinea for Naby Keita, if they've qualified for the AFCON or not. By the time we signed someone, Chelsea would have signed another 2. We can't really control Chelsea transfer business. That's what I'd say on that. And the pressure is going to be on Lampard this season because he's got no excuses now. He signed a load of players. I don't even want to list them because it just makes me angry. It should make me angry, but it does make me a bit angry. It doesn't make me a bit jealous. Sometimes, yeah. I would like to see Liverpool have one splurge. Just one summer where we go and just drop money. Just spend 150 million. And what makes it even more frustrating is it used to be we said, oh, we bring in a player and sure, we still have to cover the cost. But now we know we get 20%. 20% of all shirt sales. So if we were to bring in, let's just say, Jadon Sancho as an example, the amount of shirts with Sancho on the back of it that would be sold by this football club, I'm not saying it would fund the deal, but it would certainly help it in a big way. It used to be, and a lot of clubs have, they only get about 7 or 8%. And I think it's just a merchant's cut, really, is what it's called. So same as the likes of a JD Sports or any sports shop that sells football shirts. They just get a little cut of the sales, same as anybody else. But Liverpool's deal is different. We get that 20%, which is massive, on top of the guaranteed 30 million as well. Would you swap Salah for Sancho with his performance yesterday? Tough one. You're putting me on the spot here. I would at the end of the season. Let me give you that answer. If Sancho stayed at Borussia Dortmund for this season, we got another year out of Mohamed Salah, and that was the way we had to afford Jadon Sancho, would I take it on the chin? Probably would, yeah. Probably would. Because there will come a time where he has to refresh that front three. Will it be Bobby? Probably not, because the manager absolutely loves him. So it's more likely going to be Sadio or Mo. And yeah, I would. Next season though, not right now. I would at the end of the season when he's another year older. Lampard will go for the FA Cup. Let him. As long as he's not going. He's nowhere near the Premier League. I'm good about that. Right, Nike have done nothing to their shirts. I don't know what you mean about nothing to their shirts. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what you meant by it. I mean, I can give you my opinion on the Nike situation, of course, but I don't like the two different shirts, albeit it's not a Liverpool-only problem. I don't like that they actually look like they're two different colours somewhat. I don't like that the stadium shirt doesn't have any of the nice pattern on it that the Vapor shirt has. I don't like the fans are being fleeced this day and age for shirts. £70 and £100 seems very expensive to me. Salah still has 3 great years in him. Maybe, but our model is to refresh every so often and spend within our means. Spend everything that we bring in. So there will come a time where that difficult question has to be asked. Is it the right time to sell Mohamed Salah? Is it the right time to sell Sadio Mane? Is it the right time to sell Roberto Firmino? And the time will come where the answer to that is yes. It's a very difficult one to get right because players in this day and age as well are playing longer into their careers. We see players go 34, 35, 36. So yeah, it's going to be a difficult one, and one that I believe our manager will get right. I've always felt that Mohamed Salah has another chapter in his career. I've always felt, and this is just my gut feeling, that he has got one more move in his career. Whereas Sadio seems to me somebody who probably be more happy to stay at Liverpool and become the number one if you want, the big fish. Can you honestly see Thiago happening, Craig? I'm on the fence. Genie LFC. I'm on the fence as well, mate. I mean, I'm getting splinters in my arse here, sitting beside you on the fence. I would be extremely surprised if he signs and Genie signs a new deal. I would be amazed if that happens. I think Liverpool need to clear out somebody from midfield for that to happen. I mean, let's pull up that list again of homegrown players and stuff because it gives us a list of all the players that are here. So if we're looking through right now, Hendo, he's going nowhere. And their ages are in the brackets beside him, by the way. So Hendo's 30 years of age, he's going nowhere. Other midfielders there, James Milner just signed a new deal, so he's going nowhere at the minute as well. Reading through Wijnaldum, again, he looks like he's about to sign a new deal. Grujic could free up a spot, but is it really freeing up a spot? Because it's freeing up a spot that we don't really think about, because Grujic isn't included in the 7 midfielders we speak of. What else we got? Curtis Jones obviously is going nowhere. Shaqiri, there's potential there if Shaqiri moves on. He's somebody I'd be looking to move on. Sadio Mane obviously not moving. Naby Keita not moving anywhere in this window, not freeing up a midfield spot. Fabinho not moving out and freeing up a midfield spot. So it's very difficult. But if we're looking at our front line right now, so we have Mohamed Salah is 28 years of age. Sadio Mane is 28 years of age. And Roberto Firmino is... Where's Firmino gone on this? He's 28 years of age. So all of them going to be 29 at the end of the season. And yes, they probably do have another 4 years in them. I agree with you. Probably do have those 4 years in them. But I still think we're going to sell them at the end of the season, if I'm being honest. Curtis Jones is the next Xavi. I love him. I love Curtis Jones. That wasn't me saying that. That was a comment, by the way. That list is wrong. What's wrong with it? Please do tell me, mate. I mean, just putting it in. Jones and Brewster. Yeah, they're young players, though. They're young players that have come through with the club, so they're definitely going to be... I think Jones was on that list, was he not? Is Curtis Jones not on this list? Is it missing? I think maybe Curtis Jones is I think there was an exception for them. Because they're younger, I think that they're still counted as under 23s or something like that. But the list isn't wrong. I did check it earlier on. Craig, do you think there'll be any chance we move for Haaland? I know he's a different type of player, but still. No, because I don't think we'll afford him when the time comes for that move. Haaland is going to do the business at Dortmund because he's a quality act, and then you're going to have every club in Europe looking for him, and all the signs point to him going to Manchester United if he came to the Premier League, in my opinion. But then again, you look at Manchester City, Sergio Aguero, he's getting older. Maybe Sergio Aguero's replacement would be Haaland. I don't know. Would I like to be in the conversation? Absolutely, of course I would. But it does seem to me like his career is nearly mapped out at this point. Resale value though, any older than 28 and the value starts falling. That's kind of the thing, Norton. There's usually only... Well, I think you could probably get up to 29, 30 and still hold a high enough value. But that is really the last big contract for these players as well. Isn't it 8 homegrown players, a few, Curtis Jones, Brewster and Williams? I think there's something about their ages. Don't hold me to this one. But I think there's something about their ages because they're still counted as youth players, I think. So you can sub in and out as many youth players as you want and it doesn't count towards your homegrown quota. This is the 25 that you have to list with the Premier League. But the likes of Jones, Williams that you pointed out, Raheem, Brewster, I think they're counted as under 23s really, so they don't come into it when it comes to stuff like that, I think. Kelleher needs to go on loan. Yes, totally agree with you, Thomas. And I think he may well go on loan. But he does. He needs to get some first team experience. And he deserves to go and get some first team experience. I mean, Premier League 2 isn't good enough for him. He needs to be going out there and get more experience. Son is a good player. Yes. Yes. I'd love Son at Liverpool. But again, that won't happen. Way too early for the Chelsea versus Liverpool predictions, by the way. I see somebody in the chat putting that up. Right, where have we? There was another tweet I think I wanted to pull up. 1 second. Yes, this one. Let's pull this one up and talk about this for a minute. So this is from our own Twitter account. Liverpool want a few more signings. We talked about this earlier on, with a centre-back and a wide attacker being the main priorities. Liverpool have yet to open talks with Bayern for Thiago. That was the other piece of information I forgot to mention earlier on. And this is from our own Instagram account. So if you do use Instagram, give us a follow at Anfield Agenda. But again, it's just bringing back and reiterating what we spoke about. That Liverpool do want a wide forward and a centre-back. And that we haven't opened negotiations yet at all for Thiago. And that comes via James Pearce. Now there's two ways of looking at this. You could look at this and think to yourself that we haven't started negotiations yet. That's the word there for me. Does James Pearce think we're going to go in for Thiago? Because he hasn't said Liverpool aren't going for Thiago. I haven't seen that anywhere. And that's what interests me in this situation. And also there's the whole point about Thiago as a human being. He would have spoken to Klopp. He would have been probably sold a vision for Liverpool. Because he wouldn't have just changed his mind on the Bayern Munich contract. This is what intrigues me about the situation. As Uli Hoeneß pointed out earlier on, he was offered what he asked for. He was offered a 4-year deal at the wages that he asked for. So in theory, everything should have been happy. But for some reason, Thiago changed his mind. And Thiago's head was turned. Now, that could have been because of the conversations between Jurgen Klopp and his agent. And I hope that it is. But there is also the Barcelona side to this, that they could come in and try and pinch him if they don't get Gini Wijnaldum, because they need a midfielder as well. I'd love to know your thoughts on the Thiago situation. I mean, I give you the same stuff every day, and I know we're all getting bored of talking about it. Every day we're all seeing the same stuff rehashed on social media and stuff. What have we got? I think at this point I'd be surprised if we brought in Thiago, said Hex Boom. We should sign Ajayi from West Brom. I don't want anyone from West Brom. That club still reeks of Tony Pulis to me. So we've got a Manchester United fan in the chat. Isn't it funny how they've all grown a pair of nuts over the past... Since Bruno Fernandes came in, you suddenly see twice as many Manchester United fans on social media. And the cheek of some of them yesterday, by the way. The cheek of some you Manchester United fans out there talking about penalties. Seriously? Having a pop because Liverpool got a couple of penalties yesterday. We never get penalties in front of the Kop. We got one in the second half, and yes, we got a penalty in the first half. Both, to me, stonewallers. Richard Keys tried to have a little pop on social media, by the way, saying that by the rule of the law, Liverpool's penalty shouldn't be given. It was a handball. I don't give a shit, Richard Keys. Shut the fuck up. Nobody cares what you have to think about. There's a reason why you're over there in Doha or wherever beIN Sports is, because nobody wants anything to do with you. Nobody wants to listen to your damn opinions, Richard. So shut up. Nobody cares. But anyway, United fans, yeah, the cheek of them talking to us about getting penalties. Penalty FC talking to us. Penchester United, come on, do one. Hello to everyone that's joining us a little bit late, by the way. I'll go back over what I spoke about earlier on in the stream. Right, what have we got? They finally come out of the cave, said Sipsco. Yes. Would I like Sancho at Liverpool? No. There's something suspect about him to me. Good defender, but he's not going to want to come in playing from Leicester and want to come in as a forward or centre-back at Liverpool. And Leicester won't want to sell him because he was brought in as a replacement for Harry Maguire. So no. He looks like a good player. I'm not running the lad down, but no, I wouldn't like him, and no, I don't think it's realistic. If Thiago went to United, how would you react? I'm not going to lie, Benjamin, I'd be really annoyed for a couple of reasons. One, a player that, we've all kind of worked ourselves up into a bit of a frenzy thinking might join. But two, it would be strengthening one of our biggest rivals. In a position that I don't really think that they need strengthening in. They've got Donny van de Beek, they've got Paul Pogba, they've got Bruno Fernandes, they've got enough midfielders at the club for me. So I don't know if the United interest is as genuine as some people believe it is. I don't know if it's Bayern Munich, as I talked to you about earlier on, putting it out there to try and hurry Liverpool along and put a bit of pressure on Liverpool. Upamecano's a great shout, Shane. I would love us to go to Leipzig and get Upamecano. Yeah, that's just that would be the one for me. I absolutely agree with you on that one. If we could go to get Leipzig and get Upamecano, I'd be a very happy bunny. But I don't see it. Excuse me, I had a bit of a hiccup. I don't see it happening there. Yeah, I don't see it happening, unfortunately. But we do have to get a centre back, so yeah, there will have to be some options looked at. Mondi's gone very quiet from Real Betis. The Diego Carlos thing, I never thought we'd pay that much money for him. Has anybody seen a figure mentioned for Upamecano, by the way? Because before I really start looking into the centre-back situation, I'd seen a few links with him to Chelsea maybe and a few other clubs, but I've yet to see a figure mentioned. Maybe I didn't look hard enough. I'm pissed that Chelsea got Werner and Havertz, said Norton Kelly. I'm not too bothered about Havertz. He's a good player, very good player. But Werner's the one for me. Werner and Pulisic are the two players that I will never understand how we didn't really make a move for. Yeah, we know what happened with Werner. We wanted him, didn't work out. He wanted us, didn't work out, and he's at Chelsea. But Pulisic, that one still sticks in my throat a little bit. What have we got? Any news about Sarr? Touched on it a couple of times during the stream, Jake. He didn't play for Watford on Friday night. We're looking at a wide forward. If you want to put 2 and 2 together there and come up with 4, you very easily could. You could make a very good argument as to him probably being the target that we're going to look for that wide position. Right, 40 million people are saying. 40 million. I think that's probably at the high end. And I certainly can't see Liverpool going out and dropping 40 million on a centre-back in this window. I mean, if we could get him a little bit cheaper, possibly. And look, anyone who mentions Upamecano, I think it's a brilliant shout. And another one maybe, I don't know if it'll be in Klopp's thinking, but Jonathan Tah of Leverkusen. Again, I'd seen him linked to an English club recently, but I can't remember who it is. Not a fan of Upamecano, more of a Lego man myself. It took me a second to get that joke, mate, sorry. People don't even see that Thiago barely manages 20 games for Bayern before injury. He played 30, 34, 35 games for Bayern last season, mate, so, they're the facts. One positive from yesterday is we found a way to win, which we usually do. Exactly. The record books will show that we picked up the 3 points yesterday. Does it really matter? Does it really make a difference if we went out and performed through the roof? No, it's about getting the 3 points on the board. It's been a very, very strange pre-season. Being very disjointed, and it will probably take all clubs a while to get fully up to speed. But we got the points on the board. We protected that. 60 games now, unbeaten at home in the Premier League under Jurgen Klopp. That's an amazing statistic. Is it our worst window? Well, actually last year I was going to say it's our worst window, but we brought in Harvey Elliott. And that's going to prove to be a very good piece of business. The window isn't closed, so it's very hard to be critical and say it's the worst window we've had when there's still 3 weeks left, and we're probably going to do some business. In fact, I'm almost certain that we're going to do some business. You're going to see a lot of movement over the next 3 weeks. Should we go for Cantwell? It's an option. Again, a relegated club. We probably don't have the best relationship with Norwich at the minute because of the Jamal Lewis situation. We went, asked for him, they quoted 20 million. We offered 10 or 11, they said no, and then he goes and joins Newcastle for 13.5 or something like that, which was strange. So I don't know if we have the best relationship with Norwich at the minute, but Cantwell was a player that we had scouted in the past, definitely. Really like Skriniar from Inter. I've watched bits and pieces of him. Never really struck me as a Kloppy type of player, but I don't know. I mean, each to their own. We all have different opinions. Apparently, Upamecano has a buyout clause of 55 million. I suppose, yes, maybe it does, but I don't know if that will be what it would take to get him. I mean, the buyout clause is there, fair enough, but that doesn't mean that's necessarily what it would take to get him. Would love to see Sarr come in before Klopp. Loves a relegated player. Let me ask you guys a question before we finish up tonight. And again, shout out to hit the subscribe button and drop a like on the stream as well. Would you be happy if we ended this window and we brought in Sarr and we signed a centre back? Let's say, I don't know who to say to you, but somebody who was clearly fourth choice. So let's say we brought in somebody Ragnar Klavan-esque, put it that way, like somebody who's just a makeshift for a couple of seasons. Would you be happy if Liverpool did that in this window? So we got the fourth choice centre back and we went out there and got Sarr as a forward. Would you be happy? Genie signs a new contract, and let's say, for argument's sake, Thiago doesn't sign. Hi Craig, would you be angry if we don't sign a single player? Well, yes. We've already signed a player, mate, Costa Simicas. A lot of us forget that, myself included, when we're talking about this. But he is a Liverpool player. But we also sold Dejan Lovren, so there is that funded the deal pretty much. What have we got? Yes, I would be happy, said Yusuf. No, absolutely not. We need Thiago, said City Fisher. Do we need Thiago? Like, 7 months ago, 6 months ago, none of us were talking about Thiago. None of us had floated it as a possibility. None of us were saying that that's the player that we need. In fact, we were probably talking more about Houssem Aouar and Kai Havertz back then as players that we'd look towards. I think the Thiago situation is one that is possible, but I don't know if it's something that we absolutely need. I don't know if it's priority number one. But then again, it's one of those that only comes around once in a while, and maybe you just have to capitalise on it. Right, 100% happy, said Vinny O'Brien. Content, there's the word from Norton Kelly. Content, that's probably where I'd be at as well. Not happy, but content as well. LFC being cautious, said Mark Williams. Yes, but I would like Thiago, said Dave Smith. Tom Boland said, why not just bring back King Raggy? You don't go back there, mate. I mean, we couldn't handle any more Ragnar Klavan. I mean, the machismo, it'd just be through the roof, mate. Well, yeah, we'll always have a special place for Ragnar Klavan. Do you think we'll sign Thiago? Right, let me just run back over the whole Thiago situation before we finish up, because I know there are people coming in late and I'm going to keep asking. So here's where we are with Thiago right now. And James Pearce has confirmed that Liverpool haven't made a bid for Thiago yet. Former Bayern Munich president Uli Hoeneß has come out and said that Liverpool and United are attempting to blackmail Bayern over the Thiago situation. His actual words that he came out with were, it is a difficult situation. A while ago, Bayern Munich agreed on a new 4-year contract. Some days later, he said, I'm looking for a new challenge, which is completely okay. Actually, he said totally okay. I think he obviously has an agreement with Liverpool or Manchester United, or both of them. Now both clubs are bluffing and nobody has contacted Bayern Munich officially. From my point of view, that has no style. They're trying to blackmail us by waiting until the last week when they're going to make a cheap offer. In that case, Bayern have to ask themselves the question, do they want to go along with that, or do they tell the player that he has to stay? It's going to be a hot 3 weeks until October 5th. Now that came from former Bayern Munich president Uli Hoeneß, so as things stand, it's still a game of brinksmanship. United haven't blinked, Liverpool haven't blinked, Bayern haven't blinked. Somebody's going to have to blink, or we're going to be here with a Mexican standoff, which is what we have, and we're going to see probably Thiago end up back at Barcelona. That's my guess if he doesn't go to one of the English clubs. So as things stand, I would be exactly on the fence over Thiago. In fact, I'd probably shade more towards no. But then again, Didi Hamann came out and said that he's convinced that Thiago's going to be a Liverpool player. It's a strange one. I don't know why these transfer windows go so late, particularly this one. It's frustrating. I'm not going to lie to you folks, it's frustrating, but at least we've got football back to talk about. Sancho's too young for all that pressure. I don't know if he is, Michael. He seems to be somebody who's able to cope with the pressure. Basically, we're having a tug of war with Thiago, said Sipsco. But there's another aspect of this that we have to consider. If we don't get Thiago, we're left in a situation where Jurgen Klopp will have been talking with two players and sold them a vision of Liverpool Football Club and turned their head and not signed them, i.e. Werner and then Thiago. And that's not a good look for the football club, in my opinion, if that's what's happened. Once, okay. Twice, I don't know. It starts to look a little bit iffy. And I don't want their manager being painted in a bad light, because I absolutely believe our manager acted with the utmost faith in these conversations. So yeah, it's something that bugs me, because I don't want anything reflecting badly on our manager, because he doesn't deserve it. He deserves nothing but the best on our support and the club support. Would swap Gomez for White? It's a big call, that one. Yes, I would. I think it's a difficult one, because I don't know if White's ready to come into our team right now when Gomez is playing, but I think Ben White will end up probably being a better centre-back than Joe Gomez in the long term. But it won't happen, so we're talking about, if, ands and buts here. GoFundMe for Thiago, said Mbappe 2021. Sancho's perfect for us, absolutely perfect. I don't disagree with you, but I'm trying to just not say too much about Sancho until we know what the United situation is, because the last thing I want to do is be on here saying how great he is, and then he goes and signs for Manchester United, and we're all pissed off about it. So I'm just hanging off until I know what the situation is. United fans seem to think we hate them. We don't. Just asking as you're nice, like Mark Goldbridge. What's this? United fans seem to think we will hate them. We don't. Just asking as you're nice, like Mark Goldbridge and many others. I'm absolutely baffled by what that's about, to be honest with you. We don't hate United fans per se as in individuals, but there's rivalry there, and rivalries that should be there, and banter that should be back and forth. But I don't hate anybody as a person. There's very few human beings on this earth that I hate. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call that one a night. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow. I'm not 100% certain if we're going to be streaming tomorrow or not. I think we are, but just leave it with me. Again, shout out to our Flick chat group. If you haven't joined yet, there is a link in the description. There's over 400 people in the group already. It's completely free to join. You can get the app in the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. What else do we have about the Flick Chat app? AFTV are on the Flick Chat app now as well. Barcelona fan group on there. There's loads of different fan groups on there. So come over, use the link in the description, join the Flick Chat group. Send me a DM if you do join. Let me know you're new. I promise you I'll give you a shout out. And also, any members that haven't yet joined the Discord group, don't forget to check the community tab on the Anfield Agenda channel, because if you're a member, you'll see the link there to the Discord group. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys giving up some of your Sunday evening to sit here and talk with me. We got the 3 points yesterday. That's the first part of the job done. Very difficult game coming up at the weekend against Chelsea, and then obviously we've got Arsenal coming to Anfield as well. So look, keep an eye out for the channel, because if that happens, make sure you've got your notifications turned on, because I will be going live straight away. We've got an interview with James Pearce coming up. Paul Tompkins is coming up at some point as well when I read his book, and I've got to get Jim Boardman nailed down as well. But look, thank you for your time. Have a lovely Sunday evening, and I'll hopefully see you tomorrow. Love you all. Up the Reds.